Hello. Hi. Welcome back to Monday Night Moves, where everything seems to be running a little bit slowly for some reason. I don't quite know what's going on, but the joys of me and my technology troubles and internet troubles and life troubles and troubles, not tribbles. No, I don't have any tribbles. Although that would probably be quite fun for about 10 minutes. Anyway, hi, welcome. Welcome back to Monday Night Moods, where I, your generous host, read you stories or occult history. I don't know, weird religious texts, whatever. We are currently, well, you, me, are enjoying Purgatory. We have just entered Purgatory. We did last week anyway. We entered Purgatory, and this week we shall be delving deeper. So yes, Purgatory of Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. Excuse me. A poem in 33 cantos. We are at Canto 10. We are starting at Canto 10 today. We should be reading hopefully another 6. And yes, I look very tired today for some reason. I'm saying in a different position, so I've gone very white again. I don't know why I say these things. It's just me babbling to myself, and it's all a bit keeps me. I'd say from going insane, but it probably makes me more insane just randomly talking to myself. So yes, enough of that crap. Let's get on with the show, shall we? So sit back and grab yourself a drink. I've got things that are going to make me burp again, so I do apologise throughout this thing. And enjoy the tales. I'm hoping that my mic is loud enough. It seems like it is, so cool. Anyway, Canto 10. Car alarms going off outside. I'm hoping you can't hear them. When we had passed the threshold of the gate, which the soul's ill affection doth disuse, making the crooked seem the straighter path, I heard its closing sound. Had mine eyes turned for that offence, what plea might have availed? We mounted up the riven rock, that wound on either side alternate, as the wave flies and advances. Here some little art behooves us, and said my leader, that our steps observe the very flexure of the path. Thus we slowly sped, that the cleft orb the moon once more o'erhangs her watery crouch, ere we that strait have threaded. But when free we came and open, where the mount above one solid mass retires, I spent with toil and both, uncertain of the way we stood, upon a plain more lonesome than the road that traversed desert wilds, from whence the brink borders upon vacuity. To foot of the steep bank that rises still, the space had measured thrice the stature of a man, and, distant as mine eye could wing its flight, to leftward now and now to right dispatched, that cornice equal in extent appeared. Not yet our feet on that summit moved, when I discovered that the bank around, whose proud uprising all ascent denied, was marble white, and so exactly wrought with quiescent sculpture, that not there alone had Polycletus, but even nature's self been shamed. The angel who came down to earth with tidings of peace, so many years wept in vain, that oped the heavenly gates, for long their interdict before was seen. In a sweet act so sculptured to the life, he looked no silent image. One had sworn he had said, "Hail!" for that was imaged there, by whom the key did open to God's love, and in her act as sensibly impressed that word, "Behold the handmaid of the Lord," as figure sealed on wax. "Fix not thy mind on one place only," said the guide beloved, who had me near him on that part where lies the heart of man. My sight forthwith I turned and marked, behind the Virgin Mother's form upon that side, where he that moved me stood, another story graven on the rock. I passed athwart the bard and drew me near. that it might stand more aptly for my view. There in the self same marble were engraved that cart and kine, drawing the sacred ark that from unbidden office awes mankind. Before it came much people, and the whole parted in 7 squires. One sense cried, nay, another. Yes, they sing. Like doubt arose betwixt the eye and smell, from a curled fume of incense breathing up the well-wrought toil, preceding the blessed vessel. Onward came with light dance leaping, girt in humble guise, sweet Israel's harper. In that harp he seemed less and yet more than kingly. Opposite at a great palace, from the lattice forth looked Michael, like a lady full of scorn and sorrow, to beheld the tablet next, which at the hack of Michael whitely shone. I moved me. There was the storied on the rock, the exalted glory of the Roman prince, whose mighty worth more moved Gregory to earn his mighty conquest. Trajan the emperor, a widow of his bridal stood, attired in tears and mourning. Round about them trooped full throngs of knights, and overhead in gold the eagles floated, struggling with the wind. The wretch appeared amid all these to say, "Great vengeance, sire, for woe beshrew this heart. My son is murdered." He replying seemed, "Wait now till I return." And she, as one made hasty by her grief, "O sire, if thou dost not return, where I am, when then is, might right thee. What to thee is others' good, if thou neglect thy own? Now comfort thee." At length he answers, It besees me well my duty be performed ere I move hence, so justice wills and pity bids me stay. He, when ken nothing new surveys, produced that visible speaking, new to us and strange. The like not found on earth. Fondly I gazed upon those patterns of meek humbleness, shapes yet more precious for their artist's sake, when lo, the poet whispered, "Where this way but slack their pace, a multitude advance. These to lofty steps shall guide on us. Mine eyes, though bent on view of novel sights, their loved allurement were not slow to turn. Reader, I would not that amazed thou miss of thy good purpose, hearing how just God's decrees our debts be cancelled. Ponder not the form of suffering. Think on what succeeds. Think at worst beyond the mighty doom. It cannot pass. Instructor, I began, what I see hither tending bears no trace of human semblance, nor of aught beside that my foiled sight can guess. He answering thus, so curbed to earth beneath the heavy teams of torment stoop they, that mine eye at first struggled as thine, but look intently thither, and disentangled with thy labouring view, what underneath those stones approacheth now, even now mayest thou discern the pangs of each. Christians and proud, O poor and wretched ones, that feeble in the mind's eye lean you trust upon unstayed perverseness. Know ye not that we are worms, yet made at least to form the winged insect, imped with angels' plumes that to the heavens' justice unobstructed soars? Why buoy ye up aloft, you unfledged souls? Abortive then and shapeless ye remain, like the untimely embryon of a worm, as to support incumbent floor or roof, for Corbel is a figure sometimes seen, that crumbles up its knees unto its breast. With the feigned posture stirring ruth unfeigned, in the beholder's fancy, so I saw these unfashioned when I noted well their guise. Each as his back was laden, came indeed a more or less contract, but it appeared as he, who showed most patient in his look, wailing exclaimed, I can endure no more. Canto 11. Itchy face. O thou almighty Father, who dost make the heavens thy dwelling, not in bounds confined, but that with love intenser than thou viewest the primal effluence, hallowed be thy name. Join each created being to extol thy might, for worthy humblest thanks and praise is thy blessed spirit. May thy kingdom's peace come unto us, for we, unless it come, with all our striving thither, tend it vain. As of their will the angels unto thee tend a meet sacrifice, circling thy throne with loud hosannas, so of theirs be done by saintly men on earth. Grant us this day our daily manna, without which he roams through this rough desert retrograde, with whom most toils to advance his steps. As we to each pardon the evil done, us pardon thou benign, and of our merit take no count. Gainst the old adversary prove thou not, O virtue easily subdued, but free from his incitements and defeat his wiles. This last petition, dearest Lord, is made not for ourselves, since that were needless now, but for the sakes who after us remain. Thus for themselves and us good speed imploring, those spirits went beneath a weight like that, we sometimes feel in dreams, all sore beset, but with an equal anguish, wearied all. Round the first circuit, purging as they all go, the world's gross darkness off. In our behalf, if their vows still be offered, what can here for them be vowed and done by such, whose wills have root of goodness in them? Well, beseems that we should help them wash away the stains they carried hence, that so made pure and light, they may spring upward in the starry spheres. Ah, so may mercy-tempered justice rid your burden speedily, that ye have power to stretch your wing, which even to your desire shall lift you, as ye show us on which hand toward the ladder leads the shortest way. And if there be more passages than one, instruct us of that easiest to ascend. For this man who comes with me and bears yet the charge of fleshly raiment Adam left him, despite his better will, but slowly mounts. From whom the answers came unto these words, which my guide spake, appeared not, but was said. Along the bank to rightward come with us, and ye shall find a pass that mocks not toil of living man to climb. And were it not that I am hindered by the rock, wherewith this arrogant neck is tamed, whence needs I stoop my visage to the ground, him who yet lives, whose name thou speakest, not him I fain would view, to mark if ever I knew him, and to crave his pity from the father that I bear. I was of Latwin, of a Tuscan horn, a mighty one, Aldobranletsko's name, my sire's. I know not if ye ever have heard. My blood and forefathers' gallant deeds made me so haughty that I clean forgot the common mother, and to such excess waxed in my scorn of all men that I fell therefore by what fate Siena's sons, each child of Compagnatico, can tell. I am Umberto, not me only pride hath injured, but my kindred all involved in mischief with her. Here my lot ordains under his weight to groan, till I appease God's angry justice, since I did not amongst the living hear amongst the dead. Listening I bent my visage down, and one, not he who spake, twisted beneath the weight that urged him, saw me, knew me straight, and called, holding his eyes with difficulty fixed intent upon me, stooping as I went, companion of the way. "Oh!" I exclaimed, "art thou not Oderigi? Art thou not Agobio's glory of that art which they of Paris call the limner's skill?" "Brother," said he, with tints that gayer smile Bologna's Franco's pencil lines the leaves, "his all the honour now, mine borrowed light. In truth, I had not been thus courteous to him, whilst I lived. Through eagerness of zeal for that preeminence my heart was bent on. Here of such pride the forfeiture is paid. Nor were I even here, if able still, to sin, if I had not turned me into God. O powers of man, how vain your glory, nipped even in its height of verdure, If an age less bright succeed not, Cimabue thought to lord it over painting's field. And now the cry of Giotto's and his name eclipsed. Thus hath one Guido from other snatched the lettered prize, and he perhaps is born, who shall drive either from their nest the noise of worldly fame, but is but a blast of wind that blows from divers points, and shifts its name, shifting the point it blows from. Shalt thou more live in the mouths of mankind, if thy flesh part shrivelled from thee, than if thou hadst died before the coral and the pap were left? Or some 1,000 years have passed, and that is to eternity compared a space, briefer than is the twinkling of an eye to the heaven's slowest orb. He there threads so leisurely before me far and wide, through Tuscany resounded once, and now is in Siena's scarce with whispered named. There was he sovereign when destruction caught the maddening rage of Florence. In that day, proud as she is now, is loathsome. Your renown is as the herb whose hue doth come and go, and his might withers, by whom it sprang crude from the lap of earth. I thus to him, true are thy sayings, to my heart they breathe, the kindly spirits of meekness and allay what tumours rankle there. But who is he of whom thou speakest but now? This, he replied, is Provenzano. He is here because he reached with grasp presumptuous at the sway of all Siena. Thus he still hath gone, thus goeth never resting since he died. Such is the acquaintance rendered back to him, who beyond measure dared on earth. I then, if soul that to the verge of life delays repentance, linger in that lower space, nor hither mount, unless good prayers befriend, how chanced admittance was vouchsafed to him? When at his glory topmost height, said he, respect of dignity all cast aside, freely he fixed him on Siena's plain, a suitor to redeem his suffering friend, who languished in the prison house of Charles, nor for his sake refused through every vein to tremble. More I will not say, and dark I know my words are, but thy neighbours soon shall help thee to comment on the text. This is the work that from these limits freed him. Let me drink. Ooh. So elegant. Canto 12. I can count. Ooh, my hair. With equal pace as oxygen in the yoke, I with laden spirit journeyed on, long as the mild instructor suffered of me. But when he bade me quit him, he proceeded, for here and he behooves the sail and oars, each man as best he may push on his bark. Upright as one disposed for speed, I raised my body, still in thought submissive bowed. I now my leader's track not loth pursued, and each had shown how light we fared along, when thus he had warned me, bend thine eyesight down, for thou to ease the way shall find it good to ruminate the bed beneath thy feet. As is memorial of the buried, drawn upon earth level tombs, the sculptured form of what was once appears, at sight whereof tears often stream forth by remembrance waked, whose sacred stings the piteous only feel. So saw I there, but with more curious skill of portraiture overwrought whatever of space, from forth the mountain stretches. On one part him I beheld, above all creatures erst created noblest, lightning fall from heaven. On the other side, with bolts celestial pierced, Briareus, cumbering earth, he lay through dint of mortal eye stroke. The Thimbrian god with Mars I saw, and Pallas, round their sire, armed still and gazing on the giant's limbs. Strewn over the ethereal field, Nimrod I saw, a foot of the stupendous work he stood, as if bewildered, looking on the crowd, leagued in his proud attempt of Senna's plain. O Niobe, ah, in what a trance of woe thee I behold! Upon the highway drawn, 7 suns on either side thee slain. O soul, how ghastly didst thou look on thine own sword expiring in Gilboa, from that hour never visited with rain from heaven or dew. O fond Arachne, thee I also saw, half spider, now in anguish, crawling up the unfinished web thou weavest to thy bane. O Rehoboam, here thy shape doth seem luring, no more defiant, but fierce smote, with none to chase him in his chariot whirled. Was shown beside upon the solid floor how dear Alcmaeon forced his mother rate that ornament in evil hour received. How in the temple of Sennacherib fell his sons, and how a corpse they left him there, was thrown the scath and cruel mangling made by Tomiris on Cyrus, when she cried, Blood thou didst thirst for, take thy fill of blood. Was shown how rooted in the battle fled the Assyrians, Holofernes slain, and even the relics of the carnage. Troy I marked in ashes and in caverns. Oh, how fallen, how abject lion! What was thy semblance there? What master of the pencil or the style had traced the shades and lines that might have made the subtlest workman wonder? Dead the dead, the living seemed alive. With clearer view his eye beheld not who beheld the truth, that mine, what I did tread on, while I went low bending, now swell out, and with stiff necks pass on, ye sons of Eve. Veil not your looks, lest I descry the evil of your path. I noted not, so bruised was my thought, how much we now had circled of the mount, and of his course yet more the sun had spent, when he, who with still wakeful caution went, admonished, Raise thou up thy head, for no time is not now for slow suspense. Behold that way an angel hasting towards us. Lo, where Julie the 6th handmaid doth return from service on the day, where thou in look and gesture seemly grace of reverent awe, that gladly he made forward us aloft. Consider that this day never dawns again. Time's loss he had so often warned me against, I could not miss the slope at which he aimed. The goodly shape approached us, snowy white in vesture, and the visage casting streams of tremulous lustre, like the matin star. His arms he opened, then his wings, and spake, Onward, the steps behold are nearer now, the ascent is without difficulty gained. A scanty few are they who, when they hear such tidings, hasten. O ye race of men, though born to soar, why suffer ye a wind so slight to baffle ye? He led us on, where the rock parted, here against my font, did beat his wings, then promised I should fare in safety on my way. As to ascend that steep, upon whose brow the chapel stands, over Rubiconte, looking lordly down on the well-guided city. Up to the right the impetuous rise is broken by the steps, carved in that old and simple age when still the registry and label rested safe. Thus is the acclivity relieved, which here precipitous from the other circuits falls, but on each hand the tall cliff presses close. As entering there we turned, voices in stain ineffable sang, Blessed are the poor in spirit. Ah, how far unlike to these the straits of hell, here songs to usher us, their shrieks of woe. We climbed the holy stairs, and lighter to myself by far I seemed than on the plain before. Whence thus I spoke, Say, master, of what heavy thing have I been lightened, that scarce aught the sense of toil affects me journeying? He in few replied, When sin's broad characteristics that yet remain upon thy temples, though well nigh affected, shall be, as one is, all clean raised out, Then shall thy feet by heartiness of will be so overcome, they not alone shall feel no sense of labour, but delight much more shall wait them urged along their upward way. Then like to one upon whose head is placed somewhat he deems not of but from the becks of others as they pass him by, his hand lends therefore help to assure him such as finds, and well perform such office as the eye wants power to execute. So stretching forth the fingers of my hand, did I find 6 only of the letters which his sword, who bare the keys, had traced upon my brow. The leader, as he marked mine action, smiled. Canto 13. We reached the summit of the scale and stood upon the second buttress of that mount, which healeth him who climbs. A cornice there, like to the former girdles round the hill, save that its arch with sweep less ample bends. Shadow nor imagine there is seen, all smooth the rampart and the path, reflecting naught but the rock's sullen hue. If here we wait for some to question, said the bard, I fear our choice may haply meet too long delay. Then fixedly upon the sun his eyes he fastened, made his right the central point from whence to move, and then turned the left aside. O pleasant light, my confidence and hope, conduct us thou, he cried, on this new way where now I venture, leading to the bourne we seek. The universal world to thee owes warmth and lustre, in no other cause forbid thy beams should ever be our guide. Far as is measured for a mile on earth, in brief space had we journeyed, such prompt will impelled, and towards us flying now were heard spirits invisible, who courteously unto love's table bade thee welcome guest. The voice that first flew by called forth aloud that have no wine. They have no wine. So on behind us passed, these sounds reiterating, nor yet lost, in the fainter distance when another came crying, I am Orestes, and like winged its fleet away. O father, I exclaimed, what tongues are these? And as I questioned, lo, a third exclaiming, love ye those who have wronged you? This circuit, said my teacher, knots the scourge for envy, and the cords are therefore drawn by charity's correcting hand. The curb is of a harsher sound, as thou shalt hear, if I deem rightly, ere thou reach the pass, where pardon sets them free. But fix thine eyes intently through the air, and thou shalt see a multitude before thee seated, each along the shelving grot. Then more than ernst I opt my eyes, before me viewed and saw shadows with garments dark as was the rock. And when we passed a little forth, I heard a crying, Blessed Mary, pray for us, Michael and Peter, all ye saintly host. I do not think there walks on earth this day man so remorseless that he had not yearned with pity at the sight that next I saw. Mine eyes a load of sorrow teemed when now I stood so near them, that their semblances came clearly to my view. Of sackcloth vile their covering seemed, and on his shoulder one did stay another, leaning, and all leaned against the cliff. Even thus the blind and poor near the confessionals, to crave an alms, stand, each his head upon his fellow's sunk. So most to the stir compassion, not by sound of words alone, but that which moves not less, the sight of misery, and as never beam of noonday visiteth the eyeless man, even so was heaven a niggard unto these his fair light. For though the orbs of all a thread of wire in piercing knits them up, as for the taming of a haggard hawk, If were a wrong, methought, to pass and look on others, yet myself the wild and seen, to my sage counsel therefore did I turn. He knew the meaning of the mute appeal, nor waited for my questioning, but said, Speak, and be brief, be subtle in thy words. On that part of the cornice whence no rim and garlands in steep fall did Virgil come, on the other side me were the spirits, their cheeks bathing devout with penitential tears, that through the dread emplacement forced away. I turned me to them, and, O shades, said I, assured that to your eyes unveiled shall shine the lofty light, sole object of your wish. So may heaven's grace clear whatsoever of foam floats turbid on the conscience, that henceforth the stream of mind roll limpid from its source. As ye declare, for so shall ye impart a boon I dearly prize. If any soul of Latium dwell among ye, and perchance that soul may profit. If I learn so much, my brother, we are each one citizens of one true city, any thou wouldst say who lived a stranger in Italia's land. So I heard answering, as pealed a voice, that onward came some space from whence I stood. A spirit, I noted, in whose look was marked expectance. Ask ye how? The chin was raised as in one reft of sight. Spirit, said I, who for thy rise are tutoring, if thou be that which didst answer to me, or by place or name disclose thyself, that I may know thee. I was, it answered, of Siena. Here I cleanse away with these the evil life, soliciting with tears that he, who is vouchsafe him to us, through sapia named in sapience, I excelled not. Gladder far of others' hurt than of the good befell me, that thou mayest own I now deceive thee not. Here, if my folly were not as I speak it, when now my years slipped warning down the arch, it so bechanced my fellow citizens near Coil met their enemies in the field. And I prayed God to grant what he had willed, there where the vanquished and betook themselves unto the bitter passage of flight. I marked the hunt, and waxing out of bounds in gladness lifted up my shameless brow, and like the Merlin cheated by a gleam, cried, It is over. Heaven, I fear thee not. Upon my verge of life I wished for peace with God, nor repentance had supplied what I did lack of duty, were it not the hermit Piero, touched with charity, in his devout orisons taught on me. But who art thou that questionest of our state, who goest to my belief with lids unclosed, and breathest in thy talk? Mine eyes, said I, may yet be here taken from me, but not long, for they have not offended grievously with envious glances. But the woe beneath urges my soul with more exceeding dread, that nether load already weighs me down. She thus, Who then amongst us here aloft hath brought thee, if thou weenest to return? He, answered I, who standeth mute beside me. I live. Of me ask therefore, chosen spirit, if thou desire, I yonder yet should move for thee my mortal feet. Oh, she replied, this is so strange a thing. 'Tis a great sign that God doth love thee. Therefore with thy prayer sometime assist me, and by that I crave which most thou covetest, that if thy feet ever tread on Tuscan soil, thou save my fame amongst my kindred. Then shalt thou behold that vain multitude, who set the hope on Telamon's heaven, there to fail, confounded. More shall when the fancied stream they sought of Diane called. But they who lead their navies more than ruined hopes shall mourn. Canto 14. Say, who is he around our mountain winds, or ever death had pruned his wing for flight, that opes his eye and covers them at will. I know not who he is, but know thus much, he comes not singly. Do thou ask of him, for thou art nearer to him, and take heed, accost him gently, so that he may speak. Thus, on the right, two spirits bending each other toward the other, talked of me. Then both, addressing me, their faces backward leaned, and thus one began. O soul, who yet pent in the body tendest towards the sky, for charity we pray thee comfort us, recounting whence thou comest and who thou art. For thou dost make us at the favour shown thee marvel, as at a thing that ne'er hath been. There stretches through the mists of Tuscany, I straight began, a brooklet whose well head springs up in Falterona, with his race not satisfied, when he some 100 miles hath measured, from his banks bring I this frame. To tell you who I am were words misspent, for yet my name scarce sounds on rumour's lip. If well I do incorporate with my thought the meaning of thy speech, said he, who first addressed me, thou dost speak of Arno's wave. To whom the other, why hath he concealed the title of that river, as a man doth of some horrible thing? The spirit who thereof was questioned did acquit him thus. I know not, but 'tis fitting well the name should perish of that vale, for from the source where teems so plenteously the Alpine steep, maimed of Pelorus, that doth scarcely pass beyond that limit, even to that point whereunto ocean is restored, what heaven drains from the exhaustless store. Go away, virus protection. Go away. Maimed Pelorus that drains from the exhaustless store from all earth's streams. Throughout the space is virtue worried, as 'twere a snake, by all for mortal foe, or through disastrous influence on the place, or else distortion of misguided wills, that custom goads to evil, whence in those the dwellers in that miserable vale, nature is so transformed it seems as they had shared of Circe's feeding. Mis brute swine, worthier of acorns than of other food, created for man's use, he shapeth first his obscure way, then, sloping onward, finds curs, snarlers, more in spite than power, from whom he turns with scorn aside. Still journeying down, by how much more the cursed and luckless foss swells out to largeness, even so much it finds dogs turning into wolves. Descending still through yet more hollow eddies, next he meets a race of foxes, so replete with craft that they do not fear that skill can master it. Nor will I cease because my words are heard, but other ears than thine. Shall be well for this man, if he keep in memory what from no erring spirit I reveal. Lo, I behold thy grandson that becomes a hunter of those wolves upon the shore of that fierce stream, and cowls them all with dread. Their flesh yet living sets up to sail. Then he an aged beast to slaughter dooms, many of life he reaves, himself of worth and goodly estimation. Smeared with gore, mark how he issues from the rueful wood, leaving such havoc than in 1,000 years it spreads, not to prime lustihood again. As one who tidings hears of woe to come, changes his looks perturbed, from whatever part the peril grasp him, so beheld I change that spirit, who had turned to listen, struck with sadness soon as he caught the word. His visage and the other's speech did raise desire in me to know the names of both, whereof with meek entreaty I inquired. The shade who late addressed me thus resumed. Thy wish imports that I vouchsafe to do for thy sake what thou wilt not do for mine. But since God's will is that so largely shine his grace in thee, I will be liberal too. Guido Duca, know then that I am, envy so parched by blood that had I seen a fellow man, my joyous thou hast marked a livid paleness overspread my cheek. Such harvest reap I of the seed I sowed. O man, why place thy heart where there doth need exclusion of participants in good? This is Rinieri's spirit, this the boast and honour of the house of Calboldi, where of his worth no heritage remains, nor his the only blood that hath been stripped, twixt Po, the mount, the Reno, and the shore. Of all that truth of fancy asks for bliss, but in those limits such of growth has sprung of rank and venomed roots as long would mock slow culture's toil. Where is good Lizio? Where Menardi, Traversello, and Crapina? O bastard slips of old Romagna's line, when in Bologna the low artisan, and in Fienza yon Bernardin spouts a gentle Chion from ignoble stem. Wonder not, Tuscan, if thou see me weep, when I recall to mind those once loved names, Guido of Prata, and Azo him that dwelt with you, Tignoso and his troop with Traversaro's house, and Anastagio's, each race disinherited, and beside these, the ladies and the knights, the toils and ease, that witched us into love and courtesy. Where now such malice reigns in recreant hearts, O Bretinaro, wherefore tarriest still, since forth of thee thy family hath gone, and many, hating evil, joined their steps? Well, doth he that bids his lineage cease, back Cavallo, Castrocaro ill, and Conio worse, who care to propagate a race of counties from such blood as theirs? We shall see ye also do, Pagani, then, when from amongst your ties your demon child. Not so, however, that henceforth there remain true proof of what ye were, O Hugolin, thou sprung of Fantolini's line. Thy name is safe, since none is looked for after thee to cloud its lustre, warping from thy stock. But Tuscan, go thy ways, for now I take far more delight in weeping than in words. Such pity for your sakes hath wrung my heart. We knew these gentle spirits at parting heard our steps, their silence therefore of our way assured us. Soon as we had quitted them, advancing onward, lo, a voice that seemed like volleyed lightning when it rives the air, met us and shouted, Whosoever finds will slay me, then fled from us, as the bolt lanced sudden from a downward rushing cloud. When it had given short truce unto our hearing, behold the other with a crash as loud, but as quick flowing thunder. Mark in me our glorious turned to rock. I, at the sound repeating, drew more closely to my guide. Now in mute stillness rested all the air, and thus he spoke. There was the galling bit, but your old enemy so baits his hook. He drags you eager to him, hence nor curb avails you, nor reclaiming call, heaven calls, and round about you wheeling courts your gaze, with everlasting beauties, yet your eye turns with fond doting still upon the earth. Therefore he smites you, who discerneth all. And the last one for today, Canto 15. As much as twixt the third hours close and drawn appeareth of heaven's sphere, that ever whirls as relentless as an infant in his play, so much appeared the remaining to the sun of his hope of his slope journey towards the western goal. Evening was there, and here the noon of night, and full upon our foreheads smote the beams, for round the mountains circling so our path had led us, that toward the sunset now direct we journeyed, when I felt a weight of more exceeding splendour than before press on my front. The cause unknown, amaze possessed me, and both hands against my brow lifting. I interposed them as a screen that, of its gorgeous superflex of light, clipped the diminished orb, as when the ray, striking on water or the surface clear of mirror, leaps upon the opposite part, ascending at a glance even as it fell, and so much differs from the stone that falls. Through equal space as practised skill hath shown, thus with refracted light before me seemed the ground there smitten, whence in sudden haste my sight recoiled. What is this, sir, beloved, against which I strive to shield the sight in vain? Cried I, and which towards us moving seems? Marvel not if the family of heaven, he answered, yet with dazzling radiance dim thy sense is it is a messenger who comes, inviting man's ascent. Such sights ere long not grievous shall impart to thee delight, as thy perception is by nature wrought up to their pitch. The blessed angel, soon as we had reached him, hailed us with glad voice, Here enter on a ladder far less steep than ye have yet entered. We forthwith ascending heard behind us chanted sweet, Blessed the merciful and happy thou, and happy thou that conquerest. Only each my guide and I pursued our way upward, and as we went, some profit from his words I hoped to win, and thus of him inquiring framed my speech. What meant Ramaganya's spirit when he spake of bliss exclusive with no partner shared? He straight replied, No wonder, since he knows what sorrow awaits on his own worst defect, if he chide others that they less may mourn, because ye point your wishes at a mark where, by communion of possessors, part is lessened. Envy bloweth up the size of men. No fear of that might touch ye, if the love of higher sphere exalted your desire. For there by how much more they call it ours, so much propriety of each in good increases more, and heightened charity wraps that fair cloister in a brighter frame. Now lack I satisfaction more, said I, than if thou hast been silent at the first, and doubt more gathers on my labouring thought. How can it chance that good disturb the many that possess it, makes more rich, that if 'twere shared by few? He, answering thus, Thy mind, reverting still to things of earth, strikes darkness from true light. The highest good, unlimited, ineffable, doth so speed to love, as beam to lucid body darts, giving as much of ardor as it finds. The sempiternal effluence streams abroad, spreading, wherever charity extends, so that more aspirants to that bliss are multiplied. More good is there to love, and more is loved as mirrors that reflect, each unto other, propagated light. If these my words avail not to allay thy thirsting, Beatrice thou shalt see, who of this want and of all else thou hast, she rid thee to the full. Provide but thou that from thy temples may be soon erased, even as the two already those 5 scars, that when they pain thee worst, then kindlest to heal. Thou, I had said, contentest me when I saw the other round was gained, and wondering eyes did keep me mute. There suddenly I seemed by an ecstatic vision rapt away, and in the temple saw methought a crowd of many persons, and at the entrance stood a dame whose sweet demeanour did express a mother's love, who said, Child, why hast thou dealt with us thus? Behold, thy sire and I, sorrowing, have sought thee. And so she held her peace, and straight the vision fled. A female next appeared before me, down whose visage coursed these waters, that grief forces out from one by deep resentment stung, who seemed to say, If thou, Pistratus, be lord indeed over the city named with such debate of adverse gods, and whence each science sparkles, avenge thee of those arms, whose bold embrace hath clasped our daughter. and to fuel me seemed benign and meek, with visage undisturbed, the sovereign spake. How shall we these requite who wish us evil, if we thus condemn that man, the man that loves us? After that I saw a multitude in fury burning, slay with the stones a stripling youth, and shout amain, Destroy, destroy! And him I saw who bowed heavy with death upon unto the ground, yet made his eyes unfelled upward gates to heaven. Why did you beep? Praying forgiveness of thy almighty sire, amidst that cruel conflict of his foes, with looks and with compassion to their aim. Soon as my spirit from her airy flight, returning shout again the things whose truth depends not on her shaping, I observed how she had roved to no unreal senses. Meanwhile the leader, who might see I moved as one who struggles to shake off his sleep, exclaimed, What ails thee, that thou canst not hold thy footing firm, but more than half a league hast travelled with closed eyes and tottering gait, like to a man by mine or sleeping overarched? Beloved father, so thou deign, and I to listen. Said I, to listen, I will tell thee what appeared before me, when so failed my sinking steps. He thus, Not if thy countenance were masked with 100 vizards, could a thought of thine, how small soever, elude me. What thou sawest was shown, that freely thou mightst ope thy heart to the waters of peace, that flows diffused from the eternal fountain. I not ask what ails thee, for such cause as he doth, who looks only that eye which sees no more when spiritless the body lies, but asked to give fresh vigour to thy foot. Such goads the slow and loitering need, that they be found not wanting when their hour of watch returns. So on we journeyed through the evening sky, gazing intent far onward, as our eyes with level view could stretch against the bright vespertine ray. And lo, by slow degrees gathering a fog made towards us dark as night. There was no room for scraping, and that mist bereft us both of sight and the pure air. And there we go. We shall begin next week with Canto 16. What was that not good? Wrong side. I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of fun there. So back next week with another 6 cantos. I am recording podcast tomorrow, I hope. I've got a little bit more writing to do. It's probably going to be quite a long one, so be warned. I've got a fun little book that I'm using for it, so there might be a few little snippets of spells in there for you. So a bit of fun if you want to go check out the podcast, looking at the folklore of Hecate. So that should be a nice little one. Anything else? VessenCon was at the weekend. I've not promoted this at all. The videos are up on Vazine YouTube channel. I did 3 panels where one of them I talked about occult in gaming. We then did location, and then we just kind of like a general chat. I think it was meant to be weaving mysteries, but we just kind of ended up speaking for like 2 hours about stuff. Really good fun. Loads of writing ideas for Vessen has been spawned, so that would be good. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. So yeah. All the socials and everything in the usual places, like, comment, subscribe, blah, whatever, YouTube, yay, woo. Nobody ever does that, so all that is left for me to say is goodbye, my friends. See you next time.